Hi, everyone, and warm welcome to the Virtual Leader Conference session with Dolores Hirschmann. Dolores, a warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Katie.
So, in this Empowering the Advancing Leader in You event, you are going to share with us some of your key insights and strategies on the topic of bold actions. What is it that turns us on to take on the life that we dream about?
hmm
And we are so looking forward to this. You are an extraordinary person with a really intriguing background. And I just want to
Thank you.
share a little bit about that before I ask you to start sharing your insights and teach us about some of the things that you can help us do. So,
Mhm.
you have assumed the role as a coach, you're a writer and a speaker, and you literally inspire audiences all over the world and you help them find their next big thing and you help them
Mhm.
take bold actions.
Mhm.
And you have a background from Argentina originally, and you live in the US right now. You
Mhm.
also have a background as a TEDx organizer and a participant. So, with that short introduction, I would like you to help us fill in the picture of you and what you want our listeners and viewers today to know about you before we dive into your content. So, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that intro. Yes, I have, I think, all my life been someone to take bold actions. Um, I am an entrepreneur. I actually was a business owner for many years. I started three different companies in different industries, mostly education, also retail. And all my companies had a bigger why, a bigger reason for existing beyond just, selling a product or a service. And and that's what who I am. I'm also a writer. I'm an analytical creator, as I've been told.
Mhm.
And so writing for me is a way to express my creativity. And yes, I did publish a book earlier this year, and that was my bold action for the first quarter of 2014. I also am a mother of four children, and they're all still home. And yes, I am from Argentina. And one of the things that we took as a family was we took a sabbatical last year for 6 months in Argentina, where the children went to school there. And that was another way of, living this next big thing, bold action theme, in that it was a taking our family out of the comfort zone for the sake of growth and deeper connection.
Wow, that is so fascinating. And I hope that you will be able to share examples with us during your presentation and interview today because you have such a variety in your background from different industries and different cultures. And we
hmm
have people listening in from all over the world. So I'm sure there will be plenty of opportunities for our viewers and listeners to resonate with what you're sharing and be inspired by your bold actions.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you.
So, Dolores, there's one question that I ask every single speaker in this event, and we are curious to learn about this when it comes to you as well. So, how and when did you discover this calling of yours so you can help people benefiting from finding their next big thing?
Well, as I was thinking about this ahead of time, I'm a driven person, and for the most part, I've always known what it was next for me, what was my next adventure or my next project, my next, big thing, if you want. But a few years ago, I found myself lost and without clarity of what I wanted and where I was going. It almost felt like I had a contained fire inside of me. Um, and at the time, it became emotional for me. I was working in a firm, and while the job was challenging, it was not a place where I could fully be who I was and do the work that I was longing to do. And as always is, I was lost, but I had to admit to myself and to the people around me that I was lost, which takes courage, especially when people usually look up to you. It's hard to say, I have no idea where I'm going. And you have to stop and look in. Most people will keep on, running away or finding a different job. But at the time, I knew that a different job was not going to change what I was feeling inside. And that's when I stopped and started looking and really trying to understand what is it that is making me feel this way. And that's how I started talking to people and found coaching as a way for me to express something that I've always done, which is I love working with people. I'm a people person, and I love working with people, helping them understand and bring clarity and light into issues or challenges or quote-unquote problems that they're facing.
All right. So it sounds to me like you are able to use your own experience from that period in helping people get results in your business today. Is that so?
It is. I can actually relate to my clients as they come to me. Uh, when they come to me, it almost draws me back to that feeling I had of frustration and being stuck, and unable to move forward. I mean, it's a lack of clarity that makes you completely paralyzed.
All right. I really think now that, including myself, that listeners and viewers right now can either resonate for themselves or have somebody on their mind that they can, think
Yeah.
of who has experienced similar situations. So that's really helpful.
And it's not limited to your professional career. It's all of it. In most cases, changing the boyfriend or changing the job or changing the city, as someone says, when you fly to another country, your problems come with you. And I've flown around the world, so I know that's true. You really have to stop and look inside because it's that attitude of realizing, wait, I am creating my own reality. So if that is so, what in me am I not, being present to, or what, value I'm not honoring, or what value I'm actually stepping on all over it, right?
So there are a number of people globally, and I'm sure in the US and even in Argentina, who might be working on similar services that you are, but you have something unique in your approach to this. And what is it that makes you unique and in a position to offer a unique transformation or great results for your clients?
Well, as we mentioned earlier in one of our conversations, and when we started this presentation, I'm very creative but also very analytical. Going to coaching, accreditation and certification, I was able to get the techniques and the tools I needed to bring that coaching system, if you want, into who I was, which was a consultant and entrepreneur. So my process is actually a process where my clients go through an exploration phase, which I call clarity. And in that phase, they realize that yes, they're lost, but finding your way is not, again, as I said, go to another country and you'll find your way. Your way is inside of you. So that clarity pillar that is my process is based in 4 pillars, as you see in the presentation: clarity, strategy, mindset, and bold action plan. And so I walk my clients through that process. And in each one of the pillars, they get closer to understanding where they're going and what they need to do. My clients don't change through the process, they transform. Why? Because they don't need to change. They reconnect with who they actually are. The beauty is inside of them. That's why, my 4 pillars look a little bit like a butterfly. I love the metaphor of the butterfly. Everything is cocooned inside of them. And it's the same thing that happened to me that first moment when I was lost, is that I felt like I had a fire inside that was being suppressed. So the only thing that we do in the work that we do together is open up the doors for that fire, that beauty, those wings to spread.
All right. So that's a powerful visualization, I believe. And I know you're working both with corporate leaders as well as entrepreneurs, right?
Correct. And
Okay.
I work a lot also with coaches and speakers. I once had a client who she was wonderful, and as we finished our work together after 7 or 8 months of continuous work, she sent me a note and a quote that she wrote. She actually became a writer as a result of the work we were doing, and she said, if someone she wrote, if someone gives you wings, you have to honor them and fly. Um, Not that I gave her wings, but I enabled her to discover and spread her wings.
Mm. So if you look back now at your most successful clients, no matter if it's corporate or, having their own
Mhm.
businesses, those who makes the best results with you, what do they do differently that really helps them to achieve those great results?
Well, those that, first of all, uh, you have to be ready to do this work, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit in a couple of minutes. But they actually are ready to do the work, and the most important thing that they do is one is they commit to the work. They exercise courage. Why do I say exercise? We are all courageous. Most of us, in many moments or times, we choose to not bring it forth, to not exercise it.
Hmm.
And the more you exercise, like any muscle, right? The more you run, the faster you run, the more you exercise courage, the more it will come forth naturally. They set their goals, their inner leader, they listen and connect to their inner leader. That inner leader sets their goals, not other people's agenda, nor circumstance, nor outside circumstances or fear. They take responsibility not only for their actions but also for their outcomes and their future ultimately. They are not afraid of challenging themselves, and that pushing the boundary of the comfort zone. And most important is that they believe that they can. I have a lot of people, I know a lot of people who have done a lot of work and they're trying to grow this business and they do all this. And when I ask them, like, so how will you celebrate? How do you imagine at the moment when, that outcome is reached? And they have no idea, not because they don't know how to celebrate, but because they cannot even picture themselves reaching their goals.
Okay, so it seems like the people who are getting great results from working with you on these topics need to be brave people, and they need to do the work, and they need to be advancing. And this is a topic for this conference as well, right? They need to see themselves as a person, in advancement.
And you say they need to be brave people. I believe that we are all brave. They need to choose to be brave. They need to choose to bring that forth.
All right. So this doesn't happen all the time. There are people who are not so successful, right, and might not get the results that you would like them to get. So what about the mistakes that people do that is preventing them from obtaining these results? What can you share with us?
Yeah. So, it's not that they make mistakes and the people that are successful don't, is that they fall into these mistakes. Because all people, every person, even the most successful person out there, falls into their saboteurs or falls into forgetting to honor your values or disconnected with your inner leader. Any of this, traps, if you want. But what the difference between those that are successful and those that are not is that they fall and they don't get up. They fall and they believe that is their truth and that is where they need to stay. They can't get up and in a way exercise that courage to break through, if you want, their limiting beliefs or that voice that says, who do you think you are to try to do X, Y, and Z? They for the most part, in the work that we do together is very much driven in a proven process of accountability. The smallest mistake, if you want, or the most basic mistake that people that can't see or get to the finish line do is that they just don't do what they commit to do.
Mm-hmm.
And usually, once you just follow the baby steps, the rest starts aligning, because if you follow what you commit to do, especially if you have the help of a coach, I mean, it's very difficult to do on your own, but if you have either a coach or a support system or a community of, let's say, entrepreneurs or fellows that know your struggles and share your struggles, then it's easier to stay on track and, yes, be exposed to all these traps, but not fall into them. And that's the difference.
All right. So I'm guessing, since this is something that you're so passionate about, you are seeing a lot of benefits from, working with you through such a process. So can you share some of the ways that you see leaders benefiting from getting clear on this?
Sure. So my clients, as through the work that we do, and when we were talking about traps, a lot of the work that I do with my clients and in the systems that I offer is techniques and tools and the support to not fall into the traps when they are exposed, because we will be exposed to traps. It's not about not being exposed, it's about how do you react to it. So those that actually are able to master their saboteurs, if you want, and their limiting beliefs, they go on to truly, Katie, they amaze me.
Mm-hmm.
I have clients who have gone from, I'm not sure if I can write a book, to negotiating with multiple publishers. I have a client who went to his second round of funding, and then, through the work we did together, he started believing more in himself and connection with the inner leader, and he's now on his third round of funding for his startup, and raising over $10 million.
Wow.
I have another client who I actually just spoke with this morning, who we started working, earlier in the year, and she just was stuck. And when, we started talking about, well, what about a new job? Just the thought of getting herself out there was daunting. Well, she on Tuesday starts a new job with a 40% salary increase with a global impact. I was mentioning another client, the one that wrote me that beautiful quote. She went from, I'm not sure what's next for me, to being a writer and moving to a different state where she always wanted to live in. So there's, all kinds, a large spectrum of, if you want, accomplishments, but more important than that, these are, if you want, showcasing or show ways to show on the outside what their accomplishments were from the work that we did together. But I like to say that the one thing that I'm most proud of all my clients as they do the work is that they reconnect with joy, they regain a sense of self, and they walk lighter and stand straighter. And they really do. They are able to no longer be affected by what happens around them, but to control their reactions and design the impact that they want to have in this world. As you talk, advancing leaders, these are people who want to know how they can serve the world, because Katie, the best leaders out there are not those that go and shout out orders, but they come to the team and they say, how can I help you today do the best job you can do?
Now, what strikes me when I look at this visual of yours here is that it is a broad variety, right, of great successes. And what I'm curious to understand is whether they know themselves what they are looking to achieve when you start working with them, or if it's something that emerges over time while you're in the process.
I'm actually putting the faces of my clients in front of me as you asked me that question, and yes and no. I think it's there. Many times it's right there, but they don't dare to say it. One of my clients who became a writer, yeah, I mean, it was a dream, but I don't think she ever thought it was something she could actually do.
All right. So sometimes you go simply on discovery, and some new things that they might not have even said to themselves or shared with anyone else will arise as part of that process.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Now that's really fascinating. And what I'm curious about is, when you start qualifying your clients, because I guess you do, because you don't work with anyone. I mean, you want to work with a specific type of clients.
I have fire clients.
I can
Not
imagine.
because I love them too much to waste their time
Yeah,
if
but
they're
I
not ready.
mean, that is absolutely the respectful thing to do, right? I mean, everyone should qualify their customers and clients, and I just, I really admire you for being so clear about that. Now, how do you know, at which point do you know when your clients are ready to do the work that will lead them, to results?
Well, it's as we were saying earlier, I relate to that emotional stage because I went through it. So there's a couple of things, and here are some words that you can read. But there's a point where someone reaches that when not acknowledging where they are is more uncomfortable than that when not taking action is no longer an option. And it's also when you see people who are, or even if for the audience that is listening to this webinar, is if you observe yourself reading some blogs you would have never read before, or following some people, or even just sitting down listening to us today, those are little signs that you're ready for something. You may not know what, but you're ready for a change. Whether you read, any moment where you're starting to stretch yourself and reach for different circles of friends, you're in a stage of change or transition or transformation. And when I actually get to talk to a client on the phone, when we do sample sessions or get acquainted sessions, I could hear right away if they're ready to do the work, because I can either hear the words that we're reading here: stuck, anxious, lost, or business plateau, in transition, or they might not say them, but I can sense them. Katie, when someone says, "Oh, I'm super happy," there's two ways of saying that. It's like, "Oh, I'm doing fine on my job." When you hear that, it's like, really? It doesn't sound too fun. So you can read the energy when they come to me, but it's a great self-discovery process. If you notice yourself feeling any of these emotions that are right there on the presentation, or that you are, it's like gracing into different circles or blogs or websites, ask yourself, what am I looking for?
I really like the comment you made about the people, the leaders now that are listening in and viewing this. Probably many of them are in transition or looking for something, looking to be inspired, feeling unfulfilled in some way. So they're looking for that trigger to get some more clarity on what that could be or see where the spark is. So thank you for bringing that up. And you used to talk in the beginning of this interview about bold actions, and that was one of the things that really made you really interesting to me, before setting up this session today, that you are so clear on the importance of bold action. So why don't you share with us how you define that term, a bold action?
Sure. So first of all, bold actions are the small steps we take towards that next big thing, next chapter, however you may call it. I actually define bold action as an action that you take that is brave, out of the ordinary, has a long-term impact, and is driven by your values and your inner leader.
All right.
So the bold actions are the small steps, and it is bold for you and not for anyone else. And that's a big distinction, Katie, because you know, what is bold for me might not be for you, but it's still moving me forward. You know, for me, in the last actually years, let's take July to July, my bold action for last year was the sabbatical that we took as a family, where the 4 children were placed in a school that only spoke Spanish. It had some English in the afternoon, but it was, you know, mostly Spanish. And they just had to figure it out. Was it easy? Absolutely not. Was all happy, wappy, wonderful? Not at all. There were many nights that I questioned why I had done that. But as I look back, and we have, you know, come back to the U.S. and we're settled and the kids have finished their school year with no problems, I look back as an opportunity to stretch our boundaries, to, as someone said to me once, to really shake that tree for the purpose of each of our self-growth, if you want, personal growth. The 6 of us grew in some way, but also we connected from a different place as a family. You know, I have teenagers right now, my older kids, and to have the sense of having 6 people wanting to be together is something that we rediscovered, because my husband wasn't there full time. He was coming and going, so we reconnected with how precious the 6 of us are. And that's something really hard to find when you have teenagers. The other, you know, my bold action for the first quarter of 2014 was to publish a book. I've always been a writer since I was very young. And while this book has nothing to do about coaching or bold actions, it's in some ways a walk the talk, in that it's a novel, and releasing it to the public took a lot of courage. It actually took 4 years for that to happen, because it was putting my creative soul out there to be judged. And you know, Katie, when we expose ourselves, it's that big voice that says, what if they will judge you? What if it's not good enough? What, you know, all the what ifs. But that's why a bold action, by definition, is a brave action.
Right. You also have some more examples here to share.
Yeah. So now my new, so what I'm focusing right now for myself as my, you know, bold action is to completely revamp my health. I'm working with a coach. I think actually she's one of your speakers, right, Marie-Claire?
That's right.
Yes, and I love her philosophy and her approach. This is not about a diet. It's about as you know, Katie, I'm passionate about the work that I do, and in order to do what I do, I need sustainable energy. I need to be able to be a mom and run my personal life, but also show up as best as I can for my clients. And I realized that I needed to revamp my diet and bring in foods that nourish me to be that best version of myself, to not only stay awake and have the energy, but to vibrate at a different level.
Wonderful.
So that's my challenge right now.
Yeah, and thank you so much for sharing that personal side to the bold actions here, because I think that really helps anyone listening and viewing this to relate and start thinking about, you know, what would a bold action be to me right now that would qualify according to your 4 criteria. And I find this totally inspiring. I can certainly resonate and relate to your bold actions personally as well. Now, I asked you to make sure that we were in a position to share some of the top strategies so the listeners could take away something from what you've shared today. So please share with us what you want us to recall in specific from this session.
Sure. So I would love for you and the people listening to walk away understanding that their next big thing is is like a little seed inside of them, that it doesn't take anything on the outside to change for them to transform. And the first step would be, understand what makes you feel alive, like reconnect with something, an experience you've had, an actual experience that you can recall where you felt that you were flying, where you felt that you were in heaven, and write down, details of that. And as you do that, also reconnect with that inner leader, that voice that always has your back, that voice that some people call it the gut feeling or the intuition, or that wiser version of ourselves. Whatever the name it is for you, is that, how do I operate from that voice of that leader? So that would be the first step, that reconnection, regrouping with yourself, becoming whole again. And then the next step would be, go ahead, make that list of all your dreams, even the wildest dreams. Things that happen, go back, if you kept journals as a kid, go back through your journals. What did you want to do when you grew up?
Oh my God.
My kids ask me, what am I going to do when I grow up? And I answer, I don't even know what I'm going to do when I grow up, because I'm still searching. It's that, I wanted to be a fireman. Okay, then ask yourself, why did you want to be a fireman or a police officer or an actress? I honestly, Katie, I've always wanted to be an actress. And my father, in Argentina, you finish high school and you go straight to university, with your chosen profession at 18. And so I said to my dad, I want to be an actress. And he's like, that's wonderful. Why don't you go to business school and then we can talk?
Well, let me put it this way. It seems just
5 years of economics and statistics and business school courses. I still want to be an actress. And then, but when I ask myself, why do I want to be an actress? Because I want a stage. Why do I want a stage? Because it's from a stage that I can impact people to take their bold actions.
All right.
So yes, it was a little dream as a girl, but as I acknowledged that, if you want stage need, it's not about being an actress with a fancy dress. It's about motivating people, inspiring people to be the change they need to be. And so the last thing, you reconnected with who you are and the essence of you and your inner leader. You have made this long list of dreams, all of them, and then you take action. And it's, be redundant, it has to be bold, it has to be brave, it has to be out of the ordinary, it has to have a long-term impact, and it has to be driven by who your inner leader. And so I would love to hear from the audience as they listen to this webinar, is what actions did they commit to take within the next 7 days that either honors their values or their leader, or one of their dreams. And this is not, I will learn to play the guitar. I'm not talking about that. If learning the guitar or playing the guitar is your dream, then I want to know if you booked a lesson, or if you borrowed a guitar, if you put your fingers and felt how the sensory effect of your fingers through the guitar strings. That's what I want to know. So that's what I call a concrete and accountable. And it would be great if people can actually share this with someone in their lives, whether a partner or friend or coworker, and say, I commit to, in 7 days from now, to do X, Y, and Z, and then get back to them and say, I did it.
Right. Now, if I may pop in here, I want to give the listeners and viewers today a challenge. So I know that you are really active on various social media channels like Twitter, like LinkedIn and Facebook, right?
Yes.
So, the listeners and viewers right now, why don't we encourage them to connect with you and let you know via one of those channels? What happened after listening to you today that they would like to share with you, and
Perfect.
see what happens?
Yeah, I would love to hear from the audience and see what they committed to do, and you can do so through my Facebook page, Dolores Hirschmann. And that's a great way to do it. I also I have a publication page in LinkedIn, so you can follow some of my writings there. I also keep a blog on my website. So, but the Facebook page would be a great place to connect and have a conversation.
Great. All right. So I hope everyone made a note of that, because Dolores is really responsive on social media. I've seen that myself. You want that kind of engagement feedback on what you are teaching and sharing. So that's really an opportunity for all of you listening right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Exactly.
beyond that, because that's a good start, right? But beyond that, how can the viewers today learn more about you and your work?
Yeah. So I have a gift for the viewers, and it's mostly a gift that will help you in the first pillar of the work that I do with my clients, which is the clarity part. And it's also related to that first step we just talked about, the 3 things you can do as you walk away from this session to begin taking action and walking towards your next big thing. So, you know, in my website, I have a program called 5 Steps to Clarity program, and that is a 5-step approach towards reconnecting with your values, your inner leader, and your direction. I actually do a little bit of a metaphor with driving a car. So, you know, you need to find your driver and what makes a car run. And one of the things that, Katie, we have talked a little bit about, but it's very important to me, is the fuel. And the fuel in our lives is what goes through our head, our beliefs, our mindset. There's a saying I think I posted in Twitter in the last few days that says, those that believe that they can and those that believe that they cannot, they're usually correct.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I love that.
Okay, but this is a very precious gift from you. So I would really encourage the viewers and listeners to look into this and take advantage of this 5 steps to clarity opportunity, just to move yourself a little bit. And the worst thing that can happen is that you learn something about yourselves. And I'm absolutely going to look into it myself. So thank you so much for sharing this with us, Dolores.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now, before I let you off the hook, there's one thing that I would love to learn a little bit more about, because now we know where to find you and we know how to engage with you, but we're also curious to learn more about what we can expect from you in the future, let's say 6 to 12 months from now. So, what can you share with us that will inspire us to look out for future things coming your way?
Well, let me say that I am, you know, I've never been told to be shy, and yes, I wanted to be an actress as a kid, but that said, standing in front of the camera still makes me nervous. And so what's coming for me with my next bold, you know, brave, out of the ordinary, long-term impact and driven action is to start claiming that space in front of the camera in the form of video and, you know, that will come through our programs, but also claiming that stage from where I can bring my message to the audiences. And this is my offer. This is my commitment. Again, as we said earlier, is not for me to bring forward just for myself, but it's my duty to inspire and motivate people to be the best version of themselves, because that is the only way that we can change the world. Only through allowing each one of us to find the happiness and the fulfillment that we are born to experience is that we can be best version of ourselves for our partners and our families, our children, our coworkers, our clients. And that's how we change the world.
Okay, that's really beautifully said. And if I might just add another question to that. So, in 6 to 12 months, when you are on that stage and you feel that you are, you know, successful in sharing that, who is in the audience?
Who is in the audience? That's a great question. In the audience are people who no longer can ignore that they're looking for something more in their lives, that they can no longer stay, if you want, in their cocoon or in the comfort zone. They really, you know what they are, Katie? It's cocoons that walk away out of the theater or the space where we are as butterflies.
All right. Yeah, that's a powerful conclusion to this. And thank you so much, Dolores, for taking the time to share with us, what you see, what you are passionate about, and also for sharing your gift with the viewers and listeners. I really hope that the people attending this will take advantage of that and, of course, engage with you as they start getting insights and want to engage with you. So a big thank you, Dolores, for your contribution.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this.
Wonderful. And with that, we're going to close out this session. And you may want to listen or view this session once more. You may want to share it with a friend. It's just to have people sign up and getting access to Dolores and the other speakers as part of this initiative called Empowering the Advancing Leader in You. So with that, I'm going to close up and wish everyone a nice remainder of the day. Bye.
Thank you and bye.